Hi everyone, my name is Joni and this is my Flosstube channel, Joni Loves Stitching. This is a channel about mostly cross stitch with a little bit of needlepoint, quilting, English paper piecing thrown in. If this is your first time checking me out, thank you. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. It's been over 6 months since I last posted, I think. And even before that, I wasn't the best at posting regularly, which is, I'll get into that a bit later. I'm gonna try to switch things up a bit to hopefully be a little bit more successful with this. But first I wanna give you a little bit of a life update since it has been so long. It's been a heck of a year and I'm ready for that year to be over. As you might know, if you've watched my earlier videos, I lost my dog Gaskell in June, and in September, we brought home a Fergus. This is a fully grown Fergus, a very sleepy Fergus. He is a Poodle, Pomeranian, Pekingese, Shih Tzu mutt, and I know that because I had his DNA tested. He's a whopping 8 pounds and he is perfect. He's also sleeping on my lap during this, so if you see shuffling around or me looking like I'm doing weird things with my hands beneath the camera, I'm petting him. Last time I posted, I was training to run a marathon. That did not happen. I got sick, I believe with COVID again in November. I tested negative, but my lungs went out the way they have in the past when I've had COVID. So my doctor told me, no, you can't run a marathon anytime soon. And I haven't been able to run since. I am experiencing a lot of the long haul COVID symptoms, not just from this past time, but from the other 2 times as well. So life has shifted a bit and I've been dealing with that this last year. My son's school is about to get out and my husband is no longer traveling overseas the way he used to. He still travels domestic, but not nearly as much, and it's nice having him home a lot more than he was. So, I had mentioned that I was going to try to change things up with this channel a bit to see if it will work a bit better. I had a hard time posting regularly for a few reasons. 1, because life was crazy. 2, I would inevitably get a few comments, kind of nasty comments about how I say a lot and how I make weird facial expressions. Well, I have a vocal tic or stim, and I have facial tics. I have Tourette's. I'm autistic. It's going to happen. But that really put me off posting videos because I didn't want to open myself up to that. But I decided, screw it. If you feel the need to post a comment like that, instead maybe ask me for recommendations for other floss tubes to check out where they're not saying and making facial tics all the time. I have lots of YouTubers, floss tubers that I love watching. I would be happy to recommend them to you. Beyond that, I was just doing a lot of the same, this is what I'm working on this week, and here's my haul. And I feel like so many other floss tubers do that, and they do it much better than I ever could. So it just seemed redundant and not in a good way. So I kind of felt, what's the point? And so I just didn't want to post any more of that. A few months ago, and this is kind of going into what I think I want to do with this channel. A few months ago, I was watching Carolyn Stitches, and she was showing a bunch of patterns that she picked up at her cross stitch store. I think it's a cross stitch cupboard. And these had been previously owned patterns, and some of them had the flosses in them, they had fabric in them, some of them had even been started. And what she said is that I guess the person who had owned them had passed away. So she wound up getting these things for just a few dollars a piece, like really good patterns, lots of fabric flosses. And it kind of got me thinking about everything I have and what would happen if I died tomorrow. What would happen to all that? That would all wind up at a Goodwill, at, you know, some rummage sale, something like that. Not just my cross stitch stuff, but my needlepoint, my quilting fabric. And while that would be a boon to anyone who could then have it, it was kind of like, oh, it kind of hit me in the feels of why am I just collecting more when I have enough? I haven't even finished what I've been working on in a long time, and I haven't even started everything that I've kitted up, and I haven't even kitted up, you know, a whole bunch of patterns that I have, like a whole bunch. And I have this big green bureau overflowing with quilting fabric. And when I say it's overflowing, I literally mean it's overflowing. And so kind of got me thinking about using what you have and how I don't. And you know, on that same vein, I started noticing in, you know, pretty much every cross stitch, quilting, needlepoint group that I'm in on Facebook, people talking about, you know, what they found at Goodwill for $5, or, you know, they made this for so-and-so and they don't even use it, and not having, you know, stuff appreciated. And that kind of made me sad. I don't want my stuff to just be another burden, and I don't just want to bring more stuff and to have it go out like that. And a lot of people are probably scratching their head thinking, why are you talking about this? You look like a kid. I'm not a kid. I'm 41. 41. I'm still convinced I'm 25. I feel like I'm 25, but I'm 41. So I could have quite a few decades before me. But while I've been thinking about all of this, I also lost a cousin, and he's 9 years younger than me. And I've seen some other people pass away who are quite young, and so we never really know how much time we have. And it just kind of got me thinking about all that stuff. So what I think I want to do is make this channel not just about cross stitching and needlepoint and everything stitching related. I think I want it to be more about using what I have, plans to finish what I have and utilize what I have. And that's not to say I'm not going to buy anything anymore. That is part of the plan, to buy a lot less. But I would like to focus on stitching what I have, finishing what I've started, and not buying anything unless I actually need it for what I'm about to start. If I have a pattern and I have fabric for it, but I need the floss, go buy the floss. If I don't have it, or substitutes that are decent, or if I have a quilt I'm working on, but I don't have anything to work well as a backing or a binding, getting that, and pieces of cross stitch that I have that I've not yet framed, like they're finished, but they're not fully finished, getting a move on that groove, whether it's bringing them into a framer or figuring out how to finish them myself. That's kind of what I'd like to segue this into, and kind of see where I am now versus where I am a year from now. And it's really funny me starting this now because I'm going to StitchCon next week and I spent a pretty penny last year, and you know, honestly, I haven't touched any of it yet. Not a lick. So, that being said, going to StitchCon this year, I'll talk about that in a bit. As for what I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you the last few pieces I've worked on that I've been trying to be fairly monogamous for at least a number of days on. And then I'm going to show you what I have planned to bring to StitchCon and what my plans are for the next little bit. I go to StitchCon next week. When I get back, I have 3-4 days before my husband takes off. And then he's gone for about a week. Then we're home for a bit. Then we're at the beach for a week. And then we're home for most of the summer. My kid and I will probably hop down to Williamsburg to see my family down there for a bit. But, you know, plans to kind of make headway and for stuff that I'm doing to make sense with my goal and so forth. So I'm going to start in by showing you the cross stitch I've worked on recently. I have 4 projects there. And then I will hop into the bag that I have put together to bring to StitchCon with me. So also, if you have not watched my videos before, I want to let you know I don't bother ironing anything out before, unless I've already finished it, like this piece. It's just not, I'm not gonna do it. So this is a piece that I finished. I started it a little over a week ago, and I just finished it the other day. It is from the Summer Memories book that you can get from Fat Quarter Shop. It's got quilts and cross stitch pieces in it. This particular piece is called Hope, and this is the only piece in there that's, you know, framed. The rest of them are created as little pillows, and I think it would be fun to stitch up a number of the pillows. Looking though, I didn't really have fabric for all of them, so those might go on the back burner. And if you hear something outside, my neighbor is weeding. I do have frame that I ordered from, I think it's Signed and Numbered on Etsy. Coming in, I ordered a 7-inch frame. I think it's supposed to have a 6.5-inch opening, which is what the book called for. If it doesn't fit, if it's too big, too small, then I'll message them and get a new one with a custom size. But once I get it framed, it will replace that egg, and it will sit there until Halloween. And one thing I do want to note, I used the Aurifil flosses that it was called for. Flosses. I got the box, and it is a very cute box. I will say though, the threads do not stay in there very well, not because it's anything wrong with the threads. And I don't know if I got a dud box. I feel like I'm missing a thread here somewhere. But the box just doesn't stay shut very well. So it might not be a bad idea to tape one end to get it to stay shut. Because otherwise you're having that flap and open, you're having that flap and open. Also, there are 2 or 3 colors that they use in the cross stitch patterns in here that do not come in the box. I know one is a creamy color, one is a dark turquoise color. I think there might be another one. But the colors that they have in the box are in most of the patterns. There might be a tan color as well. So I don't know why they didn't include them all. I'm assuming maybe it was for trying to meet a certain price point for the majority of people or something like that. I don't know. It's not a problem. I just wish it would kind of said on the website underneath, you know, the book that these flosses are not included and purchased separately. So the next thing I worked on, this piece is not ironed at all. I just finished working on this one yesterday, and this is Blackbird Designs Away We Ride. I've had this going for a little while now. I used the Stitch Me, it's like pumpkin pie, on a Lugana. I had originally ordered it for something else, and I did not pay attention. This is totally a me whoopsie. I did not pay attention to the fact that what is dyed on Lugana will come out lighter. And she has on her website pictures of the different types of fabrics for most of her fabrics and how they appear. I didn't pay attention to that. So I wanted to be allowed lighter than I needed, but I used it for this. Sometimes I look at it, I'm like, but then I look at it other times, I'm like, I really do like it. So I finished right here. I colored in a lot of the house, finished a lot of the rest of the doors and door and windows. Came up here, did that, filled in a couple of those, started in on the little tree right here. And that's what I've been stitching on the last few days with that. I do kind of want to try to get this finished by Halloween. I'd like to have it in a very rustic-y wood frame. I don't know if I will get it finished by then, but that's, again, when we're looking about using what I have and finishing what I have, that's kind of part of the plan. I'm using the called for flosses. I've already gone through one thing of Garden Gate, so all the called fors. I put that away yesterday when I started making mistakes on it, and I pulled out a piece that I haven't worked on in almost a year. If you follow me on Instagram or if you watched my previous floss tubes, you've heard me talk about it, and I'll show you. I'm going to show you a mock-up of it real quick on Pattern Keeper. Its Resistance is Futile by Long Dog Samplers. I haven't worked on it in almost a year because I was working on it the night Gaskell died. And it was really hard to look at it after, and the name was just a big fat mockery. So I put it away, and I saw, and I don't know who it is, but I saw someone on Instagram yesterday post a picture of a Long Dog piece, and she was stitching it on kind of a creamy linen with a pink variegated sulky, and I was like, oh, that's very pretty. And so I started thinking about doing something the same, and what I could pull out, but then it was like, well, you have other stuff on 40 count, because I wanted the 1/1 look, or 1/2, but I have other 40 count stuff that I can hurt my eyes over if I want to. So I started looking through it, and I got emotional for a minute, and then I decided to give it a try to see how I did. And last night while watching TV, I started around here and finished this area. So there's that. And I stitched a bit more on it this morning, and I'm going to try to stitch on it for a few more days. So I am using Barbarol Creations hand-dyed oak bark. It's not focusing, I don't know, oak bark. It's a really pretty brown, and this linen is also from Barbarol Creations, and I believe it's called Early America. I originally got it to do another long dog sampler with. It wasn't Pandemic. It was the one that came after, and I don't remember. There's a little elephant up top. And I wound up not doing that, and I wound up doing this, and I really like the way it's coming out. So I'll probably work on that quite a bit more. It's a bit emotional, but it is not as bad as it was. And when I started thinking about what had been happening, I picked up my tiny puppy down here, and I hugged him. And I'm going to look here real quick because I thought I messed something up, but I didn't. All right, my last piece I worked on later part of last week. And that is Heaven and Earth Designs Eevee Evolutions. It's the 9 evolutions of Eevee from Pokemon. And I'm doing this for my son. And at the rate I'm going, I should have it done in time for him to go to college. He's in 3rd grade. So this is Leafeon. Leafeon is the wrong way. This is Leafeon. So lots of greens and blacks and everything. I've really struggled to stitch on this, not so much because of following Pattern Keeper, but because of this. When I ordered it, I ordered the flosses from them, and they come on these cards. There were 3 of these cards, and they have the numbers, they have the signs or the symbols. And so far, it looks like they have more than enough floss provided for each color. But this is so tangly, and I have to sort through it every single time just to find one color. And that's been really bleepy and annoying. So when I finally did this last week, I bought a bobbin box and some bobbins. The most annoying part about this is I used to keep all of my DMCs bobbinated in boxes. I had 3. And watching Flosstube, everyone was like, here's how I store it. And it wasn't in bobbins, it was in these floss away bags. So I decided, oh, I should do that. So I went out and bought a whole bunch of floss away bags and stuck all of my bobbinated flosses and my other flosses in floss away bags and a big Tupperware, and spent a decent amount of money on something I didn't really need to when bobbinating them worked just fine. Am I gonna go and rebobinate everything and restore it? Nope, because what I'm doing now works just fine too, and I'm not gonna waste any more money on it. But this is not working fine. So I've started bobbinating them up. I've gotten through the first card, and I've gotten through like the first page or 2 of the second card. And it's going to be a lot easier to store. It's going to be a lot easier to pull the color when it says 310. I just come in here to 310, grab it out, pull the thread. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Oops. Here we go. So I've thought about bringing this to StitchCon with me, but I'm like, oh, do I want to be focusing that much? Do I not? I feel bad for my kid that I'm not working on it. So I think I might bring it and just try to stitch 1 hour a day on it while I'm there. Because, you know, it's better than kicking pants. So I think that's part of the StitchCon plan. Also though, I'm thinking I might just stitch on Resistance is Futile for the next few days and then switch over to that for the last day or 2 before I leave. I don't know. Those are the 4 pieces I have been working on. And now I'm going to show you what I'm bringing to StitchCon. And last year I brought a lot of stuff to StitchCon, and I brought a lot of big pieces to StitchCon, and I barely touched any of them. I mean, I touched a decent amount, but there were so many that I didn't. And I had this big old bag, and it was heavy, and it was just more than... So if you're going to StitchCon and you're wondering what you should bring, a lot of people say, oh, just bring a lot, you know, that way you'll have options. want to carry around a lot, don't bring a lot. Also, if you don't want to be overwhelmed, maybe don't bring a lot. That being said, I don't just have 1 or 2 things in here. To begin with, speaking of using what I have seen all these little tiny towns, and they're cute, but I'm not super in love with them. But then the Seaside Tiny Town came out, and I love that. I love very much oceany, seaside, coastal stuff. So I had to get that. I thought about waiting to see if they had it at Creating Keepsakes, but I got stuck in my head that I didn't want to get there and find out that they didn't have it. So I called up one of my local needlepoint shops in Stitches in Alexandria, Virginia, to see if they had it. They said they did. And so I went over there the other day, and when I showed up, not only did they have it, but one of the gals, Barbara, had said, oh yeah, we're out of a few colors, but I found some good substitutes. So she'd already looked into it for me. So I'm using most of the called for colors. And the substitutes that she pulled for, I think this was supposed to be Barn Door, she pulled Baked Apple by Weeks. Instead of Colonial Rose, Red Pear. Hickory Sticks they were out of, so she had pulled another one, but it just had a tint of green, and Hickory Sticks really didn't. So we just went with the DMC, which was the 3021. And then I feel like, was that the last one? Oh, I'm forgetting. For coffee beans, I think it was what it called for. She substituted Onyx. So everything else is called for, and I think the substitutions were perfect. As for the fabric, it calls for 32 count raw linen, 32 count natural brown undyed linen. So along the whole using what I have thing, I have a lot of color and cotton fabrics because I'm part of the fabric club for both the neutrals and another one. It might be brights or colored, I don't know. But so I get 2 fat quarters a month. So I chose to use barley, which I thought went pretty darn well. So it looks pretty good. I also had spell book and one other that would have worked. The other one, I can't remember the name, but it was a little bit warmer and I kind of like the way it looked better, but this looks to be more barley than that one. And the spell book would have gone really well, but there was a little bit of darker hints on that one that really would lend itself to a Halloween piece really well. So I decided to save that for that. So this is one that I want to start as soon as I get there. I'd like to start it now, but I'm saving it. And then I'm bringing the saltwater scrapbooks that I'm doing as a stitch along with Lydia's Leisurely Stitches. So she's doing hers as one big piece. I'm doing mine as little pillows to stick in a bowl with some seashells and sea glass. So she's ahead of me. I have 2 finished. I have my boat. And I have my squiddy octopus nonopus guy. Unless I count wrong every single time I try, I think this dude has 9 tentacles. So octopuses have 8. Squid have 10. This dude has 9. So either he's a squid who had one amputated, or he's an octopus who got an extra one, or he's his own little variety of nonopus. Either way, he's adorable. So I finished those 2. The next one I want to start in on is this little, I think they're squirrels, but I want to start in on that one because whenever my son and I go down to visit his grandparents in Vero Beach, we always have to go to a place, I don't even remember the name, I know where it is, but out by the park at the beach and get ice cream. So it's a thing. It's a thing we do all the time, and that made me think of that. So I am using the called for colors, with the exception of Brethren Blue. They called for, I think it was just a DMC. Doobie-doobie-doo. They called for something, and I didn't have it. Twilight. I think they called for Twilight, and I didn't have it. It was Weeks Dyeworks Twilight. And so I think the substitute was DMC 926, 924, something like that. I didn't have that either, so I Googled substitutes for that color and came up with Brethren Blue. I had Brethren Blue. So that is the only thing that is not called for that I'm using on that. So I plan on doing that at StitchCon, but I also plan on working on this when we are at the beach, because we'll be at the beach. The next thing I am bringing, there's 2 in here, is this hands-on design little stitch along that she had going this last year. I got that far. It's not a big piece, so I'd kind of like to finish it. So I'd like to bring that with all the called for threads, and then on the whole using what you have thing, I do have the finishing kit with the board and everything, so I'd like to finish that this summer and have it ready to go for Halloween. Also in here is Sleepy Hollow, which I was stitching along with Caroline from Caroline Stitches. And we actually got this fabric, and she got her pattern at StitchCon. I had to order mine in because they were all out by that point in time. But this is, I believe it's Dove by Fortnite Fabrics. I don't know. I actually have this color in a different fabric that I ordered for a kit that they had. I didn't even realize until it got here, but it is lovely. And this is 18 count Ada, and I'm doing 1/1. I don't feel like I have too much to go. I feel like I could finish it pretty quick if I gave it some effort. So that's where I am on that. And this is by Hello from Liz Matthews. So, and with that, I think she was using the called for DMCs. I use the called for NPIs. And that's the cool thing about Liz Matthews patterns. She always gives a DMC conversion, which not everyone does. You know, people are totally capable of going on and finding conversions or substitutions, so it's not like they should feel like they have to, but it's a nice courtesy that I notice and I like. the next thing I have, I don't know what I have. Oh, it's a llama farm. No, alpaca farm. By Blue Flower. I want to say Blue Ridge Stitch Rate. That is Needlepoint. I haven't touched this in forever either. I actually might be able to use some of this blue for some of those little summer memory pillows after we finish this. This is what I have so far. Not a lot, but a decent amount. So if you look here, okay, not a third-ish maybe? Close to a third-ish? Yeah. A fair amount. Especially considering I haven't worked on it much. But there's a lot of just big stitching areas where you're going, so that should be easy enough to handle while I'm there. That's really cute. I also have a quilt drum that she made. And the fabric that I had for that wound up being too pink, so I would like to find something a little bit more subtle. And someone, it might have been Carolee from Stitching is Elementary, also had the pattern, and I think she had ballet slippers, which I feel like could work fairly well. So I might need to find some of that when, you know, I decide to start working on it, if I don't have fabric that already works for it. This is a big using what you have piece. This is henpecked, what I have of henpecked, from Plum Street Samplers. And I don't know that any of my colors are the called for. This is a 40 or a 36 count, something or other. That's the official name. 40 or a 36 count, something or other. This is henpecked. Okay, whitewash is called for. Brown hen, dungarees, hunter. Sea spray is called for. Oh, and queen bee, do I have? Yeah, I have queen bee. So I have a few colors on here that are called for in small increments. The rest, I just picked out what I had in my stash. That is a hot mess of threads. So I feel like this one has taken me longer than it should have. Maybe because I just didn't focus on it a lot. I don't know. But now the last piece I have to bring is a Caroline Manning, one of her small ones. It's the pumpkin patch. And looking at it, I did not leave a lot of space on here, but that is enough space, I think, to do, let's see, like a little flat fold for a trifold, or maybe even like one of the gusseted flat folds. If I got the proper size frame and did like the small framed just right up to the edge, that could work too. But so this is what I have. I always feel like I have more done on this than I actually do, but it's really pretty. So, and there's two things going on Instagram right now as far as hashtags go. One is Red, White, and June through Fat Quarter Shop. So stitching patriotic red, white, and blue. And the other is Carolee, spooky stitching in June, Halloween stitching in June. I don't know. I don't remember what her hashtag is, but I will find it and put it in the comments below if I remember. So that goes with Hempec. So that is what I have. I would like to work through some of this to actually make something happen with what I have here. And that's kind of why I chose what I chose to bring to StitchCon, because they're smaller pieces. They should be easier to finish. And if not, well. So that's my cross stitch. I'm going to show you 2 or 3 needlepoint pieces right now. And then I will be finished up. Oh, well, yeah. Real quick before, on the thing of StitchCon, one of the few things I was going to say is if you see me at StitchCon and you have watched this video and you see me trying to buy a lot of stuff, maybe say something. Just be like, weren't you gonna not shop a lot? I think I might plan to buy one project or maybe 2 or 3 smaller patterns if they're ones that I've been looking for. There's 2 or 3 Halloween patterns from Plum Street, and I don't know who does it. It's like this little crow on Halloween, but there's also a little crow for 4th of July and whatnot, but I love the Halloween one. So if I see those, I might do that. But I'm gonna try to be good. So, needlepoint, and then we're done. Come here. Holy guacamole. Okay. My needlepoint bags are amazing. They're Ziplocs. So this is something I've been stitching at the pool, because that's what you do when your kid can go in the pool on his own and has friends to swim with. This will just be like a little ornament. I would eventually like to get up a seasonal little tree thing where I can hang ornaments up, both cross stitch and needlepoint. I'm using actual cross stitch thread for the yellow background, Daisy, and I'm using 3 strands per length. And this is by My Pink Sugar Life. She has a shop on Etsy and lots of cute ornaments. They're all kind of white background, so you can fill them in as you want. They range around $40. You order them, and then it does take a few weeks because I believe she paints them to order. So then the other flosses. And I never knew this when, you know, people who do mirabilias talk about the petite treasure braid. I had no clue what they were talking about. Whoop! Mother. Oh, that kids. I dropped my threads. But it turns out what they were talking about, dog hair on this now, is it's from Rainbow Gallery, and it's like needlepoint thread. But so this is for 18 count canvases. They have 13 count, and then they have the petite. Never knew that. So this is what I have going on for this one, okay? With the yellow background. It's super cute. The thing I like about the needlepoint ornaments is that you can finish them in just a few days if you really stick your mind to it and focus on that. I did a ginger jar recently, and is it up here? No, it is not up here, but it took me 3-ish days. Worked on the one at the pool too. Another one I haven't started, but also by My Sugar Life, is Beach Life, and I plan on stitching this at the beach when we go. So I do think I will bring the saltwater scrapbook pieces. I will bring this. And I don't know if it would be overkill to bring some EPP pieces with me, but these threads are, see if I can do this. All this, okay? So these front two are called Very Velvet, and they are like an actual velvety feel, and they're more matte. I did that for the bow on the ginger bar, and it is a sensory dream. I'm sure it's a sensory nightmare to someone else, but to me, I wound up just kind of petting it for, I don't know how long I was petting a strand of this, but my husband kind of clued me in on it after about 5 minutes, he said. So I'm going to work on that when I'm at the beach. Again, my Pink Sugar Life on Etsy. And then the other piece. I got this piece from Seaside Needlepoint in Vero Beach. They helped me choose the thread colors. I'm using Vineyard Silk Merino. So I think it's, yeah, 100% merino. It's from Vineyard Silk. And this is by, I wanted to say it was from Two Sisters Needlepoint, but I think it's like a Stitch in Time. I don't know. And this is that. So I've been working on this one recently, and I have a ways to go. I thought about bringing this to the beach as well, but that just seems, I don't know, like a lot. Maybe I should though. This would be good for the car because I can just basket weave all the way. Basket weave is, you see how it goes diagonal? You are stitching down a diagonal row. It winds up looking like that on back, so it doesn't get super warped. And then needlepoint. You make a knot and go in through the front and just leave it there. It's called a waist knot, but if you do one like farther out to slide in through the back after the fact, it's called an away knot. It's crazy. It's also really weird trying to get your mind to go back and forth sometimes. But that is what I've been working on. And I would like to get this done this year. Good luck, Joan. I'm going to have it made into a pillow. I kind of picture it with big, like a big gusseted pillow with some mostly blue, some white or cream ticking around it, but very nautically looking. So where it'll go, I don't know. Maybe in my room. But that is that. And I think for the next time, it'll be after StitchCon. I will hopefully come back with just a little bit of haul that I plan on using soon. And I will look at plans that I have for the next little bit, probably out until vacation time, with more stuff to focus on that will either get me some finishes or get me close to finishes. And I think depending on how much I have, I might show a bit of the quilts I have going on. I have one I've cut up and need to start stitching on. I have another with Liberty, which is a big patchwork thing. I need to finish cutting on. I have two that need binding, and I have one I'm piecing right now. I also have two of the long armors. But I want to make headway on those because I have lots of fabric sitting around that I have grand plans for, that I've had grand. I don't know if you can hear that, but if you just heard a little chirping, that is my chinchilla having a dream. On that note, I am going to say goodbye because I have a chinchilla who's about to wake up. I have a dog sleeping on me, and I have a mess to put away, and it's lunchtime. So I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, if you have a nasty comment to say, instead of saying that, ask for suggestions in the comments, and I can give you some really great floss tubers to watch who are amazing and that I love. Hope y'all have a good day. Bye.